Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. It is Sunday evening, and we've got some new comments that have come out from Trump's talking on the world conflicts, everything that's going on in Venezuela, and we have some updates from Russia, from China. So we're going to discuss that today. Today apparently is Bitcoin Day. I'm not sure why. Hold on. What is Bitcoin Day? El Salvador was the first country to make Bitcoin legal tender, but it's since scaled back its Bitcoin laws and public sector involvement. El Salvador's Bitcoin office is celebrating Bitcoin Day, the anniversary of the Bitcoin legal tender law taking effect in September 2021. We've got more news on that. Apparently it's Bitcoin Day in El Salvador, so congrats. Current price of Bitcoin on its way down at the moment. 110,689. So we are stuck, it seems like. I'm hoping though this week that we will continue to go much higher. Shouldn't be any reason why we should drop other than possibly Venezuela escalating, but I think it's still a nothing burger. I think it's a conflict that'll be carried on for a long time, and the market will just learn to live with it and move on, I guess, from there. And we're going to cover what the other news outlets are not covering in terms of, what is her name? Iryna something. A Ukrainian refugee who was a victim of a stabbing, just a random stabbing from a black guy on a bus. It's causing a lot of outrage on Twitter, and Elon Musk is all over the place with it, so we'll be discussing that today as well. In terms of price action, we did make a new local high of 111,574. I was hoping we would reach at least 112,000, but at the moment seems like we are struggling to do so. Nonetheless, uptrend is maintained. Supertrend invalidates at 108,369. The level has risen since then, so I think that's good overall. In terms of this Fibonacci, I think I will go ahead and remove it. I don't think we're looking for supports if I'm expecting us to continue much higher. Hey guys, welcome in the chat. Iceberg, Papi Chura, how you guys doing? So what I would expect from here is where we will see resistances. You're going to see a lot of lines, so don't get panicked. If that is the low, hold on. No, the low is this one. And I'll lock this in. Hey, look at that. We do have new pivot levels, so I'm happy with this as well. First resistance, obviously after breaking 112k, you're looking at 114,000, we could call this. I don't think these will really be resistances at this point. I'm not seeing the 117k resistance anymore from pivots nor from Fibonacci. This is going to suck, but I still believe we will slow down at 117,000 due to the fact that we have a lot of liquidations from short positions that have accumulated over here, billions of dollars. So, you know, if we do move, we get some good volatility this week, it's going to skyrocket upwards. So that's what I'm hopeful for. In terms of the downside, really, like I said, 108,000 is first level one should look at. Of course, the local bottom of 107, the lowest point that we ever hit here, that would be another point to pay attention to. And this level still remains intact. 104,600 is where I have my next entry on Bitcoin. And if from there we continue going lower, that's when we start panicking. We would be looking at 98,000 as our 96, 97, 98,000 as our bull run make or break level, right? In the weekly chart, this is what I'm looking for. Paying attention to these levels. If we do break below this, bull run is over. 124k was the top, and we panic sell. But that is not going to happen, right, guys? I don't think it will. We still got the juice in it, and a lot of indicators are telling us, look, within the upcoming weeks, we're getting rate cuts. That will take effect as well. Maybe it's priced in. I don't think it's priced in because we got an underwhelming movement from guaranteed rate cuts after getting the non-farm payroll data last week. So I don't know. I just feel like markets haven't really priced it in yet, or maybe it has and I'm just being naive, like I said. But yeah, rate cuts should be coming, and a lot of liquidations on the short levels. Nothing is really impacting the markets negatively. People are saying, oh, stagflation, bad job market, whatever. That's just tariffs doing its own thing, and Bitcoin is separate from tariffs. The reason why tariffs do slightly impact Bitcoin is because of the amount of institutional investors that are in Bitcoin at the moment. We're seeing lots of companies, ETFs, all of that, hedge fund managers getting, dipping their toes in the crypto space. So whenever they hear tariffs, they will make stuff like their stock markets drop down. We're seeing, just look at what happened on April 7 with all the major US indices, S&P 500, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, Russell 2000. All of that crashed significantly. And so did Bitcoin. Bitcoin was also one of the ones that crashed so much. And it's like, why is Bitcoin crashing? Bitcoin has nothing to do with tariffs. And like I said, it's because a lot of these institutional investors are inside of the crypto space. So they will have an impact because they also drive the volume. It's good, but it's bad. You import the Wall Street, you become the Wall Street, is what I say. So, that's just one thing to pay attention to. But things like rate cuts, all that stuff, also shouldn't really impact Bitcoin. But it does, because it gets the money flowing, makes people take on risky assets, right? And making them want to buy more eventually, which we have seen that amount of capital in Bitcoin. So, that's what that's why we hit 124,000. Supply shock is coming as well. We're seeing less Bitcoin available. We're seeing record high numbers for how hard it is to mine a Bitcoin. That kind of stuff. Some people argue minor capitulation, but I don't know. I slightly disagree with that. Anyways, that's what we got for Bitcoin. I'm not too concerned with it, like I said. With this minuscule amount of movement, is this much amount of money? I have a high degree of confidence that we'll be able to hit my target, my personal target. It's 135,047. Oh my gosh, look at this. Based off Fibonacci level. I hope that's right. We have two levels converging right there. That is a good sign. This obviously would have to mean that 107k was the bottom for our most recent drop, and then we're uptrend from here. Super trend's already on our side. That is obviously good. So I'm just in general optimistic for the upcoming weeks. We didn't have our alt season fully yet. Sure, Ethereum made its all-time high. Solana was early to the party, but it's holding stronger than Ethereum at the moment. XRP also already made its all-time high. Those are the big cap movers, but Solana still, I think, has more potential to rise, at least go back to its near 300 all-time high. And then we're going to see a lot of the rest of the coins getting involved with it, with that kind of FOMO movement. And we'll see the alt season that we were all expecting, the 10-20% daily gains. That should be coming very soon. So whether or not you believe in that, you're looking at the prices right now. One could argue, yeah, everything is still relatively cheap. If you really, really are being nitpicky about what's actually cheap, me personally, I think Cardano, Sui, Stellar, and something like Aptos. Aptos is probably the most safest of them all. I do have other tokens purchased over here, but that's just to, follow the movement overall, because some of them are big cap plays, some of them are meme coins, like Pepe and Pengu. The only ones I kind of do care about, and I have a feeling would have a good movement. I still think they have a strong community. I hear about Bonk, I hear about Whiff, but I think their momentum has kind of died down compared to the rest. So that's why I'm sticking with just these two. And then Sonic, also very undervalued. I think for the future would be really good, but this is like long-term kind of future. And I've explained the tokenomics, I've explained the governance vote that just passed. So that's why I'm expecting a good run for Sonic. And I might be even underexposed into it. I only got 500 in here. And I still think it's at a relatively low price. But it's just the inflationary aspect that could keep the sell pressure ongoing for a moment in the short term, but all that's required for us to start heading upwards, breaking up, making new highs, is a breakout of 31. Super trend has now dropped to that level, and I see a Fibonacci line there, but I don't think we should be paying attention to that line, because this is just looking for supports. I'm going to have to look for resistances from this high to that low. Given that this is indeed the bottom, 27, I do have a trigger order down there, because I don't know, I was expecting a lot of tokens to be flooded into the market. I wasn't sure how significant the impact would be, so I was just prepared in that sense. But if that is the bottom, yeah, resistance, it seems like it's practically where we are right now with this pivot level. And then R1, it's looking at over here, still practically 31.5. So yeah, a breakout from there. I think it's still going to take a while. It's still going to take a while for Sonic, but still a good area to accumulate in general, in my opinion. So there's that. All right. I'll go ahead and analyze Ethereum. 0% movement. Awesome. Same stuff as yesterday. 4,291, the current price. Resistance is clear, 4,460. We have a pivot level right above us at 4,340. I try to average out these two levels because you can never be perfect with it. You mainly would want to pay attention to pivots though, because yeah, these Fibonacci's are looking for supports, not really resistances. So not sure if one would really qualify that as a what do you call it, as a resistance. So it's hard to analyze Ethereum. I'm not too bullish on it at these prices. Like, I still think it will perform well this cycle, but I think it's a little too overvalued right now. I've seen the kind of drops Ethereum can do on a bad day. It's scary. It's, you know, liquidation worthy. Even if you think you're safe at 3x leverage, you're not on Ethereum. So I've learned my lessons. You know, it's cost me a couple dollars, but you know, we'll leave that there. And obviously everybody's eyeing the 5K target. It's got a lot of institutional interest. That's what Ethereum's got going on for it. Ethereum staking on its ETFs, that still is yet to be approved, maybe by October when everything else gets approved, hopefully, because that's when they're scheduled for, after getting delayed like a million times. So we'll see what happens by then. The SEC's gotta get something cooking by now, so we'll see. And either way, I still have a trigger order down here at the support level, because this is looking for supports either way. So that level is valid, 4,164. With this new pivot level, though, might just have to change the average. It's very, very slight, but it's practically around that same level, 4,164. Okay, cool. Literally 0% movement on Ethereum. Get more boring. Solana up 2% today. That's good. 206. Maintaining itself above 200. That's what we love to see. Supertrend has also been on the rise, and it invalidates at 193. I have my trigger order at 194, just in case we do drop below 200. That's the level one should be paying attention to. 195, 194. If we do break 193 lower, then you start a panic with Solana. But it's been holding very strong, like I said, compared to something like Ethereum. Solana it's lateralized, but at the top kind of deal. Ethereum's kind of dropped a little bit. We were almost at 5,000. 4,956 is our current all-time high. And now we're at 4,290, almost 4,300, right? So still got a way to go. XRP starting to finally make some form of a movement. Also up 2% today. Price is 287. I'm finally in profit. I think I have been in profit, of course, the past couple of days, but this is something more significant. I haven't seen this kind of number in a while. So up $88 today. My average price $279 after buying these two dips over here, and $3 target, 298 resistance. Breakout of 292 should get us in an uptrend. This downtrend is kind of broken, but we're kind of bouncing from right over here, right? The 292, almost 293. It's spooky. So, you know, new downtrend could hypothetically be drawn. That would still be valid. Only time will tell. If tomorrow we crash, then I will have to adjust whatever downtrend I have drawn over here. But for now, this is the uptrend that we are looking for. I do hope we can break out at least above $3. $3 and then 333, of course, also a heavy resistance for XRP. I'm keeping it safe here. Taking profit, it seems like, at 333. I don't know if maybe I'll change that, but that's just there for now. If I get greedy, I'll probably change it. SUI is 337 right now. Also partially positive. SUI, one of the few tokens that has not really made a big movement, right? It's kind of stuck, lateralized, and kind of at the bottom. I still think it's a good area to accumulate overall for SUI. It seems like we did bottom out at 310. I didn't buy this exact dip. I bought 323. So I missed out, I guess one could say. Should have put the order right there. I messed up. I'll admit it. I messed up over there. So downtrend seems like it could be broken soon. That's good. Resistance is clear at right above 350. All right, and Chainlink. Chainlink's also having great movements. Just got added by the US government to put economic data on chain. Chainlink will be the oracle to provide that data to the rest of the blockchains. So that is good for Chainlink. Resistance clear at 23. Current price is 22.27. My average entry is 22.87. Downtrend is soon to be broken. Support, I could probably modify my support here. This is what I was waiting for from yesterday, is new pivot levels. I could bump this 21 up to, well, 21, 24 up to 21, maybe 40 or 30 something. High 30, low 40. I'll adjust it now. That's why I'm doing this. Very, very slight adjustment. I don't remember how much I'm dropping in here. So let me just do the math. It's 500 then, right? I will be putting 500 at the price of... Cancel that. Let me see, 21,306 plus 21,531. Whoops. There we go, that's your entry. 2141. I was kind of right with my quick math. And I said 500. So we'll confirm that there. And there we go. And I'm looking for supports with this Fibonacci. So yes. If you do get a crash tomorrow, Monday, I would expect this one to get filled. Otherwise, I don't know. We might see another one of like these happen where it's just like inches away from hitting my entry. I'm pretty good at having that happen to me. It's happened a couple times, and stuff like Litecoin, which, by the way, Litecoin on its way up a little bit today. 1.73% up. Resistance at 115.47. That's where the downtrend becomes an uptrend if we are able to close and break above that. But it seems like we're kind of bouncing off of it. If there is a crash tomorrow morning, I would just have to readjust the downtrend to something like this. However tonight behaves, right? We'll get some more data there. I don't think we're having a midnight pump, so we'll have to wait. Anyways, yeah, this is the kind of stuff I was talking about. Entries like this, it happens. It's fine, though. Average price is still, you know, in the green. 112.33 is my average price. Current price of Litecoin, 114.49. All right. Cardano, 83 cents. Also relatively flat. One of the coins that has not really made a big move. And, in my opinion, a good area of accumulation. Resistance at 86 and current price 83. Like I said, my average price is 82.84. Trigger orders. These are not looking that great. Might have to bump it up to 79. My last entry was at 82. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to readjust these levels. I just don't know exactly where. I'm going to leave them there for now. Because this is way too big of a gap for me to like actually start putting big money into Cardano. And I think Cardano still has, it can make its moves, but reaching number 3 on the coin market cap list like it once did in 2021. I don't think that's gonna happen. It's still gonna have a good run. It's gonna go above $1 plus, maybe even $2. But go back to $3, maybe, break out of that, $4 or $5. We're gonna need a lot of market cap. And I don't know. There's just better options than Cardano at this point, in my opinion. So that's my opinion on it. Stellar, last coin that we've got here. Also a good zone of accumulation. Has a lot of potential. My average price is a little high because I've been accumulating since like a long time. And I'm pretty overexposed into Stellar as more than I'm comfortable with, but I'm expecting a good return if we do go back up to, a normie level, 49 cents. We've hit that many times. We've gone 50 plus a couple times. So Stellar at 35 right now seems like a decent buy, in my opinion. Not financial advice. And look at this. I could finally modify this entry to something more realistic. And I'm going to do that right now. I think this is obviously 1,000. I don't think I'd be putting more. Let me cancel this. Yeah, it's 1,000. 0.33281 plus 0.33378 is that divided by 2, not 0. What happens if you divide by 0 again? Isn't it like, syntax error or something? Let me try that. Divide by 0. Not divide by 0. Alright, cool. Thanks, calculator. Thanks for nothing. Won't tell me the answer of any number divided by 0. Alright, there's my modified order at 33 cents. Good stuff. I'll have a sip of tea for celebration. Resistance for Stellar is right at my entry price too. Right at 37. Overall, some are becoming positive again, which is good. I have not looked at World Liberty Financial ever since I sold yesterday. It's still up here and most traded. It's on its way up right now. One would look at this and think I sold the top. I kind of didn't. Or I kind of did. I sold at 23.80 or 23.50. I hate how this sometimes never shows me the position when I want it to. Oh, 22.51. That's pathetic. We actually hit a high of 24.45. So could have made a lot more profit. What did I make here? 200? Could have made 300 probably if that hit up here. But I don't know. If you're still holding on to it, I would suggest maybe eyeing like 25 because we're not technically overbought yet. So we still have the momentum to keep on rising, right? And that could take us to like something over here. Probably. And will I be entering World Liberty Financial again? Good question. The answer is... you got me there, huh? Yeah, probably. But I'm going to wait for like a really, really low point oversold opportunity. Maybe I just blew my chances. Maybe, it just skyrockets from here once again. I doubt it, but anything could happen here. Where is not Hyperliquid. World Liberty Financial. Number 29. Yeah, its market cap kind of dropped. It was really close all the way up here, I think. We could check the market cap's history. It reached a high of, give me this number, almost $8 billion. That puts it number 21, right next to something like Litecoin. It's already dropped a little though, to 29. Okay. The potential is there, but it's not as significant. We'll see what else they do with the project. They're still, gonna have votes on what to do with new tokens released. Will they burn Justin Sun's supply? That would be super bullish because it's a big middle finger to Justin Sun and also lots of tokens out of circulation. I don't think they should do that though, but it would be funny. Because like that would just, you'd be violating an investor's laws. You're literally taking Justin Sun's hundreds of millions of dollars and burning it into thin air. to pump the price of this token. And he, he just basically loses his money. That's all it is. I mean, he can do that himself if he wants to voluntarily, but no, he's asking for his funds to come back, even though he said he's not going to sell it. So now they made sure he's not going to sell it by blacklisting his addresses and locking his World Liberty Financial tokens away, which people are a little scared of that, because what if that happens to you, kind of deal. So yeah. Bitcoin's still at 110k. Perfect. Moving on. Let's talk about the news that we've got. What to expect for this week. So, forget about Tuesday. Wednesday, we're getting PPI data, and Thursday, CPI data. This is to, finalize our decision on interest rate cuts or hike. It's not going to be a hike, but it's definitely going to be a cut. By next week, Wednesday, September 17th, that is going to be the most important day. But this week still has factors that could impact the outcome of that day. So we could expect volatility from that. And also Thursday, we have the European Central Bank interest rate decision. It'll have a small impact on the market. I'll agree with that. Something to look out for. All right, what's going on with Venezuela here? The U.S. War Department will be shifting focus from China to the threats in Latin America. So forget China, forget whatever's going on over there. We don't care about China. We're now going to focus on Latin America. Okay, well, I just closed my Bing X. Hold on. All right. Venezuela has been reporting outages, heavy GPS jamming going on in Puerto Rico amid threats of U.S. bombings in Venezuela. If you're not aware, there is a genuine threat from the United States toward Venezuela. They're planning a massive strike in places like Caracas, I think that's the capital of Venezuela, targeting command centers, drug operations, and key infrastructure. Why is oil not exploding right now? I wanted to buy oil, but markets were closed that day that I analyzed it. Yeah, we're already bouncing up. It's so over. I wanted to buy this, like, right over here. That sucks. I mean, arguably, one could still buy... I don't know. I could DCA a little into crude oil, maybe. So there's that. Because if you don't know, Venezuela got lots of oil. Of course, they are trying to defend themselves here by, issuing a counter threat saying, if Venezuela is subjected to any aggression, it will enter the stage of armed struggle. Washington must abandon its plan to change the regime in Venezuela. That is also another thing that they mentioned. U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Such a cool title, by the way, but why did we rebrand to the Department of War? A decision made by the President of Peace. It's like, okay, anyways. All that on the side, yeah, there was mentions of that plans of regime change in Venezuela. So, of course, Maduro is kind of freaking out over here. And it's not like the US is actually going to topple his government, although that might be part of it because, there's claims that politicians are corrupt. The drug cartels are working with the politicians to kind of, you know how the drug business is. We're seeing a lot of that in places like Ecuador, for example. But yeah, there's that fear. There was a drug boat that was destroyed by the U.S. military, which is this one right over here. This is the footage I was talking about for the past couple of days. They see some dudes on a boat and they explode it. The Democrats are like, why did you just kill random people? And the U.S. was like, no, this is not random people. This was drug cartel members that were trafficking fentanyl. So the government of Trinidad and Tobago, which is where this drug boat was headed to, has thanked the United States. So another L for the Democrats, it seems like, for the left. The boats are custom built for this run in the ocean. They are big with 3 or 4 outboard engines. From Venezuela, they transport the drugs to the Los Roques archipelago, about 25 miles off the coast of Venezuela. Larger boats then take the packages and people and transport them to places like Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. From there, the drugs go to USA and Europe. So it's all part of that operation, and that's why the US destroyed the ship. But like I said, there was a lot of criticism from the left on this. Trump held a, Q&A from the press kind of thing as he was onboarding and offboarding some planes. They asked him stuff like, are you considering attacking the cartels inside of Venezuela? Trump says, you're going to find out. So the answer is yes, he will. A part of this was a tweet made by JD Vance, which I shared before, and this huge backlash that Brian Krasenstein was making, like a big deal about this. He's just basically crying that he got ratioed on Twitter. That's all it really is. He was literally calling for JD Vance's impeachment over this kind of stuff. A leftist reporter has asked stuff like, what legal authority were you guys working under, to kill these civilians of another country is what they're calling it. Vance says, the legal authority is terrorists are bringing drugs into our country. Another question, because his reasoning is like, yes, we bombed those terrorists. They're calling them terrorists now because they just they approved something that would change the name of the drug cartel now as a terrorist organization. So that gives the United States the ability to use their advanced weaponry to bomb them or to neutralize them, so to speak. So there's that. And in terms of Russia, Ukraine, Trump was also asked about this. A reporter has asked, has Melania expressed anything about Putin lately? Trump says, no. The First Lady got along great with Putin. Both of us are disappointed that this ridiculous war continues. The reporter asks, are you proud to see Melania send the letter she did to Putin? Trump says, yes, she felt very strongly about the kidnapped Ukrainian children. She feels very badly about it. Last thing we heard from Russia-Ukraine conflict is Russian President Vladimir Putin is inviting Vladimir Zelensky, president of Ukraine, to have the peace talks, but in Moscow, the capital of Russia. And it's like, okay, he's probably not going to accept that, right? You're literally walking into a death trap is what it seems like. So he's very skeptical, and they're making impossible requests of each other, so nothing has come of it. The whole summit in at what's it called? Alaska, almost at Atlanta. Just a big photo op, and then the meeting in the DC from the European leaders and Trump. Yeah, nothing much came of it, so we're still stuck in that sense. In terms of what's going on with Israel-Hamas, President Trump issues ultimatum to Hamas in this post on Truth Social, saying that everyone wants the hostages home. Everyone wants this war to end. The Israelis have accepted my terms. It is time for Hamas to accept as well. I have warned Hamas about the consequences of not accepting. This is my last warning. There will not be another one. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So there is possible conflicts that can still happen, right? This might be one of the only few things that is not allowing us to, drive markets much higher, because of course we know peace is bullish for crypto in general. We don't want the threat of nuclear war, because people will be like, okay, screw this magic internet money. I'm going to buy like real stuff, real gold. I'm going to buy food. I'm going to buy a bunker, and I'm going to survive a nuclear breakout, if that even is to happen. If a nuclear war happens, nobody's surviving. Not our magic internet money, not your precious metals. So I think it's just stupid overall to sell, but people's own decisions, and that's all they care about. All you really got to care about, in my opinion, is just faith in God, and that's it. Move on. If nothing happens, you're still, diamond hands, holding on to your crypto, and you'll eventually come out of it, because a war cannot go on forever. It can take a long time, but eventually things come to an end. So you shouldn't be worried about it, in my opinion. Those are the three, maybe 4 wars that could be going on. US, Venezuela, and just the general war on drug cartels in all Latin America. which I think it's about time that they do take action on this kind of matter. So I'm for that. Um, Russia-Ukraine war, the two Vladimirs are being ridiculous with each other. And I hate that war. I'm completely against it. I don't like seeing Russians or Ukrainians die. Um, Israel-Hamas war. Technically Israel-Iran, because Iran is funding all that. They're terrorist organizations. Yeah, like genocide in Gaza, that kind of argument, sure, nobody likes to hear that. Those are harsh words, and it's real, so nobody likes to see all that happen. And Iran is not really going to stop. They're likely just going to continue pursuing a nuclear bomb. To why do they want to do that? Probably to nuke Israel overall, just end Israel. Because ever since Israel was created, it's always been a huge mission to get rid of it from all of its surrounding countries. That regime changes had to have happened, and briberies, and kind of peace talks in general. That's when other nations kind of relaxed a little, except for Iran. It's like the last obstacle standing against Israel kind of deal. So they're doing their best to keep themselves sovereign, but they were technically broke. They are no longer able to really fund their terrorist organizations like Hamas or the Houthis in Yemen or Lebanon, Hezbollah, right? So they're kind of coming out on the losing side. Maybe that will end soon, but I mean, hey, they've got lots of missiles and drones, and they have sent those to Israel, and we've seen markets crash when those wars have happened. We've seen it especially crash on June 22nd. If you just rewind the calendar and look at the charts over here, June 22nd, United States gets involved in the war, and it's like, okay, it's over. If United States gets involved with this Israel-Iran war, Russia, China gets involved, North Korea, and it's a world war in the Middle East. Luckily, that didn't happen. Otherwise, nukes would be all over the place, nobody would be alive, and our magic internet money wouldn't exist along with us, right? So that's kind of my argument for it. Just keep holding on to it. Buy the dips if you can. Eventually, it all blows over, and, we make all-time highs after that, and that's when you take profits. What happened to my RSI chart? There we go. So there's that. War number 3 that could happen. War number 4 that could happen is China-Taiwan. Is it Taiwan? Yes, it is Taiwan. They are our biggest provider of semiconductors, right? Taiwan Semiconductors, huge company. NVIDIA, biggest company in the world. They're not based in Taiwan, but Jensen Huang is from Taiwan, pretty sure. So they know all about the semiconductors, the chips that we use for all our technologies, computers, phones, tablets, everything. It's in the US interest to defend Taiwan from a possible invasion by China, because China believes that Taiwan belongs to them and they want to take over the country. But it seems like the United States, like I said, they've shifted their focus away from China, and now they're focusing on Latin America. Like I said, I'm for this war against terrorism, drug cartels, that kind of stuff. So those are the only things that could pop up in the future that could crash markets. But in the future, we're not seeing things cook up right now. Yes, Russia-Ukraine has been going on for a while now, but it's not escalating other than just them throwing a couple of missiles and drones at each other, and soldiers still are dying. Like, that is still the case. Nobody likes to see it, but we've kind of gotten used to it, right? The markets are not getting impacted by a news headline saying, oh, there was a drone strike in Kiev. Okay, well, anyway, moving on. Like, that kind of stuff. It doesn't impact the markets anymore. So that's just things that could push markets low or just keep markets where they are, right? Moving on. Trump said he's looking into importing experts who can train American workers in high-skilled industries rather than mass importing foreign labor. Of course, we know the reason why Trump tariffs exist is to bring companies into the United States, having them build their companies in here, giving work to Americans, and things would be great. the way it works right now is we have mass immigration, lots of illegal immigrants. They're taking the American people's jobs, is what everybody's claiming, and it's cheap labor. And some argue, oh, but we need these people. They're genuinely good at what they do. Here's Trump's solution is that we should help them along and let some people come in to train our people to do complex things. So, yes, we could have some immigration. Of course, you can do things legally. There's no problem with that. Because, of course, we don't want to let people that we don't know whose background they are into the country. They could have a criminal history. They could be terrorists. You're letting them into the country without knowing. That's not going to be good overall. You're going to get cases like what we're going to discuss next. Although, no, it's never mind. Forget what I said. Anyways, he's giving the idea of, okay, we could import some of the smartest people and have them train our Americans to do the jobs, right? So that there no longer is that kind of excuse of, oh, we need that foreign labor, you know, because there is also that proposal that Trump has made of cutting IT jobs, not allowing IT jobs to hire foreign labor from places like India, for example. So he's talking about this, whether it's battery, computer manufacturing, building chips. We're going to look at that whole situation. We have to train people. I'm going to look at it as what he said as his comments for that. A focus on training Americans instead of flooding the markets with cheap foreign labor. Build skills at home, create high-paying jobs, and make U.S. workers competitive again. Yes, I agree with that completely. So that is good. He also talked about January 6th committee pardons may be revoked shortly. I'm not too informed on the J6 stuff. I know what it's about, but I don't know what conclusive evidence is they're providing with this. Trump just called the Autopin scandal as one of the greatest of our time, and he's right. They gave a pardon to the unselect committee, and after they realized the whole situation was a hoax, and it was all their fault, including Nancy Pelosi, J6 update if you care. Chicago is a very dangerous place. We have a governor that doesn't care about crime. We're going to make a decision as to where we go over the next day or two. This is talking about, of course, what Trump has done in Washington, D.C. He's deployed the Federal National Guard there to... Was it the National Guard? Basically, the federal police to regulate the streets because governors, mayors are not really doing a good job and crime was out of control. So now they've got it under control. And there are record low cases from what I heard in terms of, you know, homicides, murders, criminal activity. That's good. And lots of people are happy with this and are calling on Trump to come do it in their cities and other major cities. It seems like the next stop is Chicago for this, so prepare. DC is close to 100% crime-free. All right. And this has to do with the situation with Iryna Zarutska. Trump says he will know everything tomorrow about the horrific murder of this Ukrainian war refugee by a repeat offender on a train in Charlotte. If you're not aware of what's going on, it's probably because lots of news outlets did not cover this. And like I said, people on Twitter are freaking out about the whole situation, Elon Musk, etc. So we're going to talk about that here. The mayor of Charlotte, wherever Charlotte is, I have no idea. Her name is V. Lyles. I'm assuming Democrat. Hold on. Where is North Carolina? Okay. And she's Democratic, of course. She responded to the brutal stabbing of a woman by a homeless black man by urging more compassion for the homeless instead of standing with the victim. Lyles doubled down, saying, "We will never arrest our way out of issues such as homelessness and mental health." So she's more concerned about the homelessness rather than the fact that the homeless guy did the stabbing of a poor Ukrainian refugee lady. So there's that whole situation. After the Ukrainian woman was murdered, the mayor issued a statement exclusively defending the homeless and mentally ill. No mention of the killers. 14 arrests and multiple felonies, by the way. That kind of crime where, you know, people just get released on bail. They just keep committing crimes. It's out of control and those people need to be jailed. Our empathy keeps getting used to excuse evil and it's literally killing us, Elon Musk quote tweets exactly. You see news outlets covering this? No, not really. You talk about something like George Floyd, 74,000 articles. You talk about Iryna Zarutska, 0 articles. On AP, for example. Divide by 0 ratio. It's that. It was also New York Times. What is the editorial reasoning by, New York Times here? You look up Daniel Penny, you get 100 plus results for Daniel Penny. If you don't know who Daniel Penny is, same deal on a transit train, I think it was. There was a black guy just, he was doing something bad, and a white guy steps in he puts him in a chokehold to stop the black guy from doing whatever evil act he was doing. I don't know what it was specifically. I don't recall. And the chokehold, I think it killed the black guy by accident. And there was that whole media outrage of, oh, look, white guy killed black guy. And now he was facing trial, Daniel Penny, right? Over this, he's saying that it was all in self-defense, of course, because he was protecting other people. But then, that's one whole case. But when it's the opposite, when it's a black on white crime, you don't get any media coverage for it. Elon Musk once again pointing this out, saying that no one commits narrative crimes like New York Times. They are the best in terms of, it doesn't fit the narrative, right? That's the kind of stuff that they're going for here. And now when you look up, even on Wikipedia, they're already trying to erase it from history. If you look up the killing of Iryna Zarutska, it shows it here, but there's already an editor has nominated this article for deletion. You're welcome to, it's like, okay, come on. Why are we trying to erase it from history? Anyways, here's just a brief summary. Iryna Zarutska occurred on August 22nd, 2025 in Charlotte, North Carolina. She's 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee, my age. She looks way older from the photos that I've seen. She fled the Russian invasion of Ukraine. She was fatally stabbed. It was just out of the blue. I saw the video. It was uncomfortable. I always see the most uncomfortable videos, but it's whatever. Yeah, it was literally just out of the blue. She sits down. The homeless guy is behind her. Just casually pulls out a knife and just starts stabbing, and then he walks off as if nothing. And the rest of the people on the bus are like, why is there blood on the floor? Oh, why is this guy holding a bloody knife? Oh, this lady has been stabbed in the neck. All right, cool. Yeah, the CCTV footage of it was there. So that basically covers it. Very tragic story, and justice must be served. He's just going to go to jail. Will he go out of jail and continue committing the crimes? That's what we hope not happens, right? It's out of hand in Canada, too. A lot of catch and release kind of stuff from this Liberal government. It's going great. Crime is through the roof. I'm seeing lots of home invasions and, just random shoot. I don't understand, just shooting at a person's home. You literally see, 2 brown or black guys just walk up to a home, take 3 shots at a window and then run away. And they're on this they're on the security footage of the home cameras. You're not escaping. Anyways, they do sometimes get caught and justice served, but it's happening way too frequently all around the GTA, so it's not looking good. Anyways, moving on from that, I commented on this, which was really suspicious in my opinion, the fact that House Speaker Mike Johnson was talking about Trump and the Epstein files and all that. He said, well, the reason why Trump was hanging out with Epstein in the first place was because he was actually an FBI informant. He was working undercover for the FBI. Donald Trump, did you know that? Back in his real estate days, he was working for the FBI. Nobody believes that. So it was pretty funny for him to say that, and he's officially backed off his claim that President Trump was an FBI informant in the case of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. So, yeah, Mike Johnson caught lying. What is he doing? Cool news from Russia. It's, they have announced a cancer vaccine. It is now ready for use and free for all patients. Did Russia just solve cancer? Russia. Russia's announced a personalized mRNA cancer vaccine with human trials starting around September to October of this year, according to sources like TASS and Economic Times. It's planned to be free for Russian patients, initially focusing on melanoma. I don't know what that is. However, it is not yet in widespread use, and details on its effectiveness remain limited. Can we trust the vaccine? It's personalized. Okay, you just repeated the same thing. However, Western experts are skeptical due to limited data and past rushed approvals, like Sputnik V. Trust will depend on trial outcome. It's too early to fully assess the safety or efficacy. I agree with that kind of take. It's like if I had cancer, God forbid, and I had the option to take this, would I really do it? I mean, if I was gonna die, I'd be like, yeah, sure, give me my last hope of me possibly living. Sure, do it. But if I had like not something serious for cancer, and I had the option to take this, I'd probably just hold off on it. Be like, okay, we'll give it some more time. It's a little too early, right? Do we know if this actually works? If I do have an expectation of possibly living, so you know, that's kind of my take on it. But cool, good stuff that Russia is doing. We have confirmation that Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba announces his resignation. This comes after, I don't know, I heard a lot of like population decline rumors. It's not rumors, it's confirmed. The population is in decline in Japan. And they were planning to bring in a lot of African immigrants to help repopulate. Okay, you're just begging to ruin your country or something. That's, I don't know. He's now stepping down, I think. I don't think it has something to do with that specific claim. It's literally this. Okay, well, speak of the devil, right? I wonder if it has something to do with what he said. This is what he said. Japan's prime minister wants to import millions of Africans and Kurds because he believes his Christian faith demands him to make Japan tolerant. Okay, that is why the West is falling, for the record, but Japan will laugh, cry, and sweat together with the people of Africa. Okay, alright. I don't think we need any of that, but thank you. So there we go. Moving on to crypto news. Alright. El Salvador President Nayib Bukele announced that they bought 21 Bitcoin for Bitcoin Day. I just mentioned this earlier in the stream. Today is the day that El Salvador has approved Bitcoin as a national reserve. Its birthday in 2021, so he's buying 21 because of the year 21 Bitcoins extra. For the record, they have been buying 1 Bitcoin every day. Great way to DCA. They're super in profit, and you see a big spike up in their accumulation because they just bought 21 Bitcoins today. It looks like a staircase, like the full chart, because it's like 1 Bitcoin, 1 day, 1 Bitcoin, 1 day, 1 Bitcoin, 1 day, that kind of deal. It looks like a staircase. And then you just get this big pole. It's pretty funny. But yeah, good job for Venezuela. For El Salvador. Speaking of Venezuela, they're talking about stable coins like USDT will be replacing Venezuela's bolivar as the inflation soars to 229%. I don't know if this is confirmed. Can I like click on the actual article? Okay. Binance dollars, replace Venezuela's bolivar as inflation hits to 29%. Of course, I think we all know this, that Venezuelan bolivar is like the most worthless currency. It's so bad. Stable coins like USDT have become the de facto currency for millions of people navigating a crumbling financial system in Venezuela as the country's annual inflation rate surges. That's good for adoption, I guess, but sucks for Venezuela's currency. Maybe they do move to the American dollar overall. If the United States does make a regime change in Venezuela, that could absolutely happen. It would be good for the US dollar. People and companies prefer to price their goods and services in USD, so they're already kind of doing that in Venezuela. They receive the payment for the same in USD. And now they're talking about doing it all on blockchain with USDT. That would be interesting. They rank number 9 in per capita crypto use, so they already use a lot of crypto. I did hear stuff like this for Venezuela. There was this whole case of, there's this video game, RuneScape. I'm not sure if any of you heard. They have this in-game currency system, like where like you could, I guess, cash out and, you know, buy stuff in game with I don't know what the currency is in RuneScape. Is it just gold? They use the money system in that game. You have to like level up your character, defeat, I don't know, dragons. I never played RuneScape, so I have no idea. And like people in Venezuela would literally, that's literally your job, is to play a video game, make money in it, cash that out for real money so that you could feed your family. Like the economy was so bad at one point that that literally happened. And because it has like a toxic community, this is funny. Or maybe it's not funny, it's actually horrible. There were like clans and, you know, people in groups organizing to target these Venezuelan players to like kill them and take their money in game so that they could you know, just to grief them, just to troll them. Which is like terrible because these people are literally playing to try to survive. That's their only way of making money. They have other ways of making money, of course, but like the economy was just so bad that a video game currency was worth more than the Venezuelan bolivar. So you had that going on for them. Anyways, that's what's going on in Venezuela here. They're getting invaded by US, the cartel. That's also probably why a lot of people are in the cartels, because where's the money at? Oh, in the drugs? Okay, well, here's my youngest son. Go shoot some people and make money for me. Speaking of Tether, there was some weird rumor for whatever reason that Tether is selling Bitcoin to buy actual gold, which would be counterintuitive and controversial because Tether is a cryptocurrency. As we know, it's a stable coin. And the fact that they're ditching crypto to buy physical gold, they're ditching the digital gold to buy physical gold. That's just controversial. It's like, do you no longer believe in the digital gold project? It's like, what's going on here? Anyways, the CEO guy, Paolo Ardoino, he denies the rumor that any of that has happened, and he confirms that we actually buy and hold both for our treasury, right? They buy US bonds, I think they buy, and of course Bitcoin and physical gold, right? That way it's what they use to keep the dollar stable, the USDT at $1 all the time, right? So, okay. Debunked, I guess. Michael Saylor did the post. He did it. It's Sunday. Needs more orange. Confirming that tomorrow we will see MicroStrategy buy more Bitcoin. I cannot talk today. I need more tea. Grant Cardone thinks MicroStrategy will be just fine. Is talking about like the fact that MicroStrategy did not get added to the S&P 500. I covered this also a couple days ago. They chose Robinhood instead. Robinhood is at all-time highs and MicroStrategy is not. That's probably why they picked Robinhood. Oh, also, if I remember, I will check Robinhood's price tomorrow to see if we did indeed hit all-time highs. I would expect we do, because we're already really close to our recent all-time high that we had, and the news that Robinhood got added to the S&P 500, it should pump it up like at least maybe 10%. I don't know. It depends on the market cap, depends on like the institutional interest, right? If people genuinely want to buy it. So yeah. Bullish catalysts. Bitcoin mining difficulty sets a new all-time high above $136 trillion. Network is stronger than ever for Bitcoin. Good. A nuclear bomb is about to eradicate shorts. The short liquidation will be biblical. I say that we slow down at 117,000 because I love this reaction, by the way. 113, 114,000, easy pump up. Sure, we might slow down at 115, but I think like the FOMO is going to kick in and we're just going to continue much higher. But if we do get overbought on the price of Bitcoin over here, because right now we're like flat in the middle for the RSI. We're at 50. I mentioned 115. We can see a slowdown maybe over here. No. I think we're just going to completely break through and hit 117. Why 117 is because you have like this little area right over here. It might not be exactly 117. It could be 118, right? So I'd be willing to give it some leeway to maybe over here, 118,000. That might be the level. You're seeing that like yellow means like super liquidated, lots of shorts to get liquidated. But the blue means like little to none. And there's none at one point over here. I think that's the area where people will slow down. New shorts will accumulate, like from 118 to 120 to all-time high, wherever. And people will also be taking profits, right? Because of the explosion is just going to be so high so fast, right? Easily will reach 115,000. And then from there, I think FOMO will continue to kick in. But we do need that little spark of volatility, and that could come from Wednesday, Thursday economic data. I think it's Wednesday, Thursday. I already forgot the dates that I told you guys. Yeah, it is Wednesday, Thursday. PPI, CPI data. That could bring the volatility that we need to get us there. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, though, so there is some technical analysis made over here that Bitcoin might not continue higher, but I think it will. What is this? Weekly chart held the support at 109,000. Daily chart has a small head and shoulder bottom reversal. As just technical analysis of a head and shoulder that could be moving up or down. It looks like the head and shoulder is inverse, meaning that we should head upwards. It depends on the confirmation or rejection at the neckline. If you don't know what the head and shoulder pattern is, I mean, it's literally... How are they looking at this? They're looking at this, I think in the daily chart they said. It's weird. I don't even know if I could probably properly draw it. Head and shoulders. You got something like this going on. Oh, this is going to be awful. Hold on. Now I think I'll go back to a 4-hour chart. You guys know what I mean though, right? Something like this. Left shoulder, head, and the right shoulder is like something like this. You get the point. Whatever. It just deleted on me. And that should eventually continue to price forward, which would be a good thing. If it rejects and closes below the right shoulder, we could be in for a lower low. Maybe the pattern doesn't fully give in. Not to be a doomer, but my guess is Bitcoin doesn't meaningfully break to the upside of the inverse head and shoulder neck region. He's thinking it might drop a little lower. It's a mild conviction, like 60% odds, but the guess I'd make if I had to make one. Perhaps it's better stated, I think Bitcoin has higher odds of making a lower low before it makes new all-time highs. I disagree. I think we bottomed out at 109K and super trends are already in the green, meaning we should be making higher highs, higher lows. At least that's what I'm seeing in the 4-hour chart. So I think we will continue higher. Ignore that one then. There's a hidden metric out there. Ethereum is up 70% this quarter. This is part of the reason why I am nervous to invest in Ethereum. It's the strongest Q3 return we've ever seen for Ethereum, right? The new all-time high we hit, it looked great. But Ethereum's August revenue collapsed to $39.2 million, which is down 75% year over year. This is the lowest revenue we've seen from Ethereum since early 2021. So the speculation for Ethereum is there. That is why we're seeing a lot of movement, breaking all-time high, etc. for Ethereum. But can the usage of Ethereum follow? We know that there's a lot of adoption for Solana now. Python Network, of course, uses Solana. That is also being included in, government economic data that will be published. Things like that. So, I don't know. I still think Ethereum will be good. It's used for a lot of things. We know that. But I think it's going to be about that time where people look at the price of Ethereum and be like, okay, it's probably a little too high. The institutional investors will keep the hype there, like SharpLink and Tom Lee's company. I forget the name. Something Shark, I think. I'm probably confusing it. That will keep the optimism there, the Ethereum ETFs, the Ethereum staking on ETFs. But like, it's going to take a lot of money to actually move Ethereum. It is probably the most trusted, but I think people will start looking at other options. They're going to look at Solana. And then they're going to look at the Solana killers, Sui, Aptos, or Sonic might start getting some attraction because of its, in theory, its transactions per second is just better than all of those chains combined. So, you know. Anyways, use cases for Ethereum are still there. Tokenized stocks, tokenized US Treasuries fund from Fidelity has launched on Ethereum as well. And yeah. I don't know why this news is here. I should have covered this earlier. But China's central bank extends gold buying spree to 10 consecutive months as it tries to rely less on the US dollar in its reserve. Bad for the US dollar, good for every other stock. This is the reason why we have seen gold on the rise. It was odd. People were like, why is gold just at all-time highs suddenly? And it's like, okay, here's the reason why. It's because China is buying. And we're still at all-time highs. 3,600. That is crazy. I never thought we'd hit that. But yeah, China buying gold. So bullish for gold if you have it. And we know that Bitcoin follows the price of gold. It trails the kind of movement. Meaning that if we're seeing gold at all-time highs right now, we're going to see Bitcoin at some all-time high soon. Sonic, I was talking about it just a while ago. Tokenomics update thread. I don't know if I want to go through all this because I've already been over an hour with my streaming. I've overstayed my welcome. I think I'll save it for tomorrow because this is not going anywhere. We're getting tokenomics. New token unlocks September 11, I think. I don't remember. Maybe that was Aptos. I think it was Aptos. Whatever. I'll have more details on it, but that's just too much to cover, so I'll cover it tomorrow. NASDAQ listed Suri Group Holdings. I talked about this one before. It was formerly Mill City Ventures. They purchased another 20 million Suis. They now hold a total of 101 million Suis, which is worth $344 million. There's already companies accumulating Sui as treasury, and Sui deserves to be much higher, in my opinion. So I'm bullish still on Sui, and I'm very well positioned. Can't wait for a good breakout over here. We're gonna moon. Bitcoin still 110,000. Great. That concludes the stream. Perfect. So tomorrow I will cover whatever news comes out tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe for that. Waiting on Wednesday, Thursday, like I said. CPI, PPI data. I think that's all. Yeah, really. So the war fears are on the sidelines for now. I don't think we should pay too much attention to it. I understand why we drop, but I disagree with those kinds of drops. And if we do drop, I just buy more. It's no big deal. I know things will recover. And if they don't, we all die. And who cares in the end? So, yeah. Not to be pessimistic about it, sorry. But yeah, anyways, on a positive note, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you do like and subscribe. And I thank you guys for subscribing. I'm seeing those numbers go up, so I'm happy with that. Yeah, great.